Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do an absolute beginner's guide or tutorial to knitting. I'm going to show you how to cast on and how to do the knit stitch so that you can actually make a garter stitch scarf as your first project, which was actually my first project when I first started learning how to knit. And just an FYI, if you're new here, guys, I do tend to be a little chatty, so this is not your normal tutorial where all you do is just get right into the knitting, because I may do a little chatting while we're learning. So that said, guys, if you don't mind me doing a little chat, then stick around. And if you don't like that type of video, then this might not be the type of video for you. But that said, I like to keep it real, so we may have a little chat. I did get one comment on a previous tutorial where the lady said that I just waffled on too much. So, you know, I wish her all the best. I just hope that she found what she was looking for in some other tutorial. But yeah, stick around if you don't mind getting to know me a little better, and let's get to it. So when I first started learning how to knit, this was actually the exact same yarn that I was given. I took a knitting class at a local library in Illinois, and this Wool Ease Thick and Quick, which thank goodness is still available if you guys want to get this, but you can use any yarn. I just thought it was really cool, and I just find that for beginners, the thicker the yarn, the easier it is. And so I'm glad that I learned with this yarn. So it's the Lion brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick, and it is a 6-ounce ball, and the recommended needle size is 13, US 13, and it's 9 millimeters, which is what these are. Now, I don't remember what brand this is, but this is actually the needles that I started out with as well. And I don't know if you can still get these. I did double check to make sure that they were a 13, because the number has rubbed off of the little top thingy here. But yeah, so you'll need any yarn that you use. You want to make sure you look at the label and match the required needle size to the yarn. And that's what we're doing here, size 13 with the bulky, I think this is bulky, it doesn't say, is it? Yeah, bulky weight, super bulky weight. So any bulky weight with a 13, or if you use a worsted weight yarn, you could use like a US 8. The only other thing that I'll mention before we get started is that I don't know if this colorway is still available. It was 132 Lemongrass. So if you guys want to look for that. Otherwise, I will put a link below to where you can get lots of different colors of this Wool Ease Thick and Quick. You'll find that down below in the description. All right, so I prefer doing the long tail cast on, so I'm going to show you guys how I do that. And what I do is I start out with a tail at least 4 times the width that you want to knit. So if you want your scarf to be about this wide, you're going to take that width and you're going to do 4, you're going to make 4 strands like this. There's 3 and there's 4. So I'm going to put my slip knot right here. To do a slip knot, I take the yarn and I twist it, and then I take this strand from below and pull it through that loop, and that's your slip knot. I'm going to show that to you one more time. You've got your four times width of what you want to knit. You're going to take your yarn and twist it, and then pull this strand here through the hole. And there's your slip knot. Then you're going to put your needle in. You're going to hold it with your finger to keep it from sliding off, and just snug that up on there. Okay, this is going to actually count as your first stitch. Now, if you can see, if you notice how I was holding my yarn, I was actually getting ready to start casting on. What I do is, you see how you've got both strands. I keep my tail behind, and then the working yarn coming from the ball is here towards the front. Okay. Snug it up, and then you're going to take your thumb and your index finger right in between those two strands. You're going to grab the rest of the yarn like this below, and then spread your fingers so that it looks like a slingshot. Okay, this is how I used to teach. I used to teach knitting classes at Beverly's in California, and I would always teach them this. It's very visual, which is the way I learned, and I love it. So take your two fingers, thumb and index finger, between the strands, grab the yarn below, hang on tight, open your fingers and pull back. Okay, so you've got a little slingshot action going on. Then you're going to hold on to this yarn so it doesn't fall off. You're going to go below and come up underneath, like you're coming up the thumb. Then you're going to come over here and go down the finger. You're going to scoop that yarn right there. And then you're going to come back between these two strands, come back down the thumb, let go, and pull down. There's your first cast on. Okay, we're going to do that again. Fingers between the yarn. I'm hanging on underneath. I'm going to come up the thumb. So you're really coming right up under here. And then down the finger, which scoops this piece up. And then you're coming right back down the thumb. So up the thumb, down the finger, and see how you've got all of this on here, and then you're going to come right back down in between here, down the thumb again, and off. There's 4 stitches cast on. Let's do it again. I think we're going to cast on about maybe 15. 10, 15, up the thumb, down the finger, and down the thumb again. Once you get the hang of it, you'll actually be doing it like in one motion, like this. You go up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, sort of like up and then scoop and then down. So let's see, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's do one more. Up. So you're scooping up from the bottom and then coming right down the middle of the finger so that you grab that one, and then just come down between the strands there. And there you have 10 stitches. Now, let's see, on the label it actually says, if you're using that, let me zoom in here. This is kind of how you read a label. When you do a gauge on the label, it's a 4 by 4 inch square. So using the 13s, the 13 needles with this yarn, you're going to have 9 stitches in 4 inches. So a 4 by 4 inch square is going to be 9 stitches across and 12 stitches high, 12 rows. That's how you read the label. Like I said, this is for beginners. Let's do a couple more of the cast-ons. I've still got you zoomed in, so that's cool. So let's get a closer look. Okay, fingers between the yarn, grab below, slingshot, up the thumb, down the finger, and then down the thumb again. Oops, and I split the yarn. So let's try that again. Do you see that? Sometimes that will happen, and you just pop that stitch back off and start over. Go between, slingshot, under. So this is the only part that you do from outside the thumb is when you come up the thumb. Okay, come up the thumb. And then the other 2 motions, you're going down between, like down the middle of the finger and then down the middle of the thumb. Okay, so from the outside and then from the inside, 2 scoops. Up from the outside, down from the inside, 2 scoops. Okay, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're going to do 2 more. Up the thumb, down the finger, and through. Up the thumb, down the finger, and down one more time. And now we should have 15 stitches. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And it just depends on how wide you want your scarf to be. Like I said, you should have 9 stitches in 4 inches. If you wanted your scarf to only be 4 inches wide, let me zoom back out a little bit. Yeah, if you wanted your scarf to only be about 4 inches wide, you would only do 9 stitches across. Okay, so 9 stitches is 4 inches. So if you wanted your scarf to be 8 inches wide, since this is 4 by 4, if you wanted it to be 8 inches wide, you would just double the amount of stitches that you cast on. So you would want to cast on 18 stitches. Let's just do that. That way we'll have a nice 8-inch wide scarf. So that's 15. Here's 16. Did you see how I scooped really quick there? We're almost out of the tail, so I didn't account for having an 8-inch wide scarf. Maybe that's good enough. I think, let's see, we've got 16 stitches on the needle. Yeah, I don't want to run too short so on my tail, so let's go ahead and just go with this. Now we're ready to start the knit stitch. So we're going to turn this way, point to your right. I'm going to teach you guys a little rhyme, and this actually helped me when I first started. You're going to go, this is the way it goes. You go in through the front door, and you go in left to right, in through the front door, around the back. So you go around the needle like this with your working yarn, in the front door, around the back, peek through the window. That's where you pull the new loop of yarn back through the original stitch. So the one that you just wrapped, you're going to pull it through. So you're peeking through the window, right? And then off jumps Jack. And this is where you just slip the old stitch off the left-hand needle. And you don't want this to be very loose. So it's kind of tedious feeling at first, but you want to snug this little strand, your tail. You want to snug it up. But let's try that one more time. And it's left to right. You go in the front door, around the back, then pull that yarn. Hold on to it with your finger if that helps. See how you're still holding on to it with your finger? Peek through the window, and then off jumps Jack. And you can use your finger to help you push it off, that needle. And you also want to be careful that your stitches don't fall off the tips of your needles either. So I kind of, for the first couple stitches, I always kind of snug up that tail again. All right, and you know, I always forget which style of knitting I do. I hold my yarn in my left hand, and I probably don't hold it like anybody else because I kind of just wrap it with one finger, and I keep my tension between my middle finger and my index finger. I just kind of keep my tension there and hang on to the yarn like this. But you always want to make sure that you keep your index finger on this last stitch as well that you just knit, because you don't want it to fall off. So in through the front door, and I hold on to my tip over here. You'll figure it out, like different ways to get comfortable with knitting. Okay, so anyway, we're going in the front door, around the back, hold on to it, let's peek through the window, and then use our finger to push it off, and you can see that stitch coming off. Off jumps Jack. And we're getting there. We've got 3 stitches already knit. And I split the yarn again. Do you see that, guys? I want to make sure that it all slides off. I'm just going to push it off there. I don't know if you guys noticed that little fuzz, because it did split. So this yarn, I guess, can be a little splitty sometimes, and it's probably because it's so loosely wrapped. You see, if you try to untwist it, it's actually 2 strands of yarn twisted together. You can even put your finger between them. So yeah, you can understand why it could split, but you got to just be careful and keep an eye on that. So left to right, let's go in the front door, around to the back, pull it down, come through the window, and off jumps Jack. Okay, I'm gonna stop with the nursery rhyme for now. I know that's the way that a lot of people teach kids, and also a good way to teach beginners. So it just makes it kind of fun. But we're gonna go ahead and put the needle right through here, left to right. I'm gonna show you what it looks like from behind here as well. I'm just doing this really slow. Around the needle, hold on to it, and pull it through, and then use your index finger if you have to push that stitch off the needle and onto your right. So we're transferring the stitches. The cast on stitches will all end up on our right hand needle. So go through here again, wrap around, and pull it through, and then off the needle. Come through again, wrap around, pull it through, and off the needle. I really hope that this is helping someone out there. I did have a comment on one of my previous, actually it was on one of my other channels, I have another channel called Dust Jackets and Diamonds, where I'm actually sharing books I'm reading and my diamond paintings and other crafts, some knitted projects and crocheted projects. And I had a comment where somebody was saying that they wanted to learn how to knit. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do a totally beginner-friendly knitting tutorial so that I could help her cast on and get started knitting. There we go. And I'll also show you guys how to cast off with this video. So we've cast on, we've done a slip knot, we've cast on, we're doing the knit stitch, and I'll do a couple rows of knit stitch, and then we'll actually cast off so that you guys can see how to end your project once you get it to the length that you want. And stick around, guys. Feel free to subscribe. Make sure you like this video if it's been helpful. And I'll have lots more tutorials coming. I actually have a tutorial right now on how to make an asymmetrical shawl, and that's also garter stitch. So once you know how to do this, you could go over and watch the asymmetrical shawl video and make yourself a shawl. Yeah, well, this is all you need to know to be able to do that. Okay, we're to the last stitch. It's a little tight, but we wrap around, pull it through, okay, and voila. And what I like to do once I finish that row is I kind of hold on to this strand and I pull down on that corner because you want it to be a corner. Okay, make it kind of squared off. Give it a little tug. And then you're ready to turn, switch needle hands there, and you're ready to go back and do another row. And that's all you do, guys. You just keep going. And you want to make sure before you start, make sure that this yarn is not like this, because if you do that, you're going to have problems. You want to make sure that the yarn is always coming from the front, it's wrapped over and coming from the front, and that there is a little loop right there. It may look loose, that's normal, okay? Don't worry about that. You want all the little bumps. Those are called purl bumps because when you knit on the other side, it creates, when you were knitting on this side, it creates purl bumps on this side. And you want all those bumps to be on this side. You want to go in above the bumps, okay? So to start coming across, we're going to hold on to the yarn down below. And like I said, it's coming from the front. And you're holding on to it from behind. You're going to come in above the bump. Like that. Okay, right to left. And we're just going to go back across like we did the first time. Pull it through and slide it off. Okay, and you see how it may look really wonky? You're going to look at that and be like, is this right? Yes, it is right. Okay, it's going to look loose and wonky, but once you keep knitting, it's going to all come together. Because I remember I looked at it too when I first started knitting. I was like, oh my gosh, why is there such a gap? But that's normal, because watch this. Do your next stitch and snug it a little bit. That'll tighten it up. Not too tight though. You'll get the hang of it, and you'll get your tension right as you practice. But look at that. You see how it came together? No more gapping. We pulled it together. Next stitch. Go through right there. Go through left to right. wrap your needle and pull it through, and you can see I'm still hanging on to that stitch to make sure it doesn't fall off. And this is that stitch that you just pulled through, and then you're gonna pop it off. And we're getting there. We've got 2 rows. We're working on our second row. So wrap, pull through. And as I do this row, I'm gonna go ahead and mention one other tutorial, guys. Have you seen those mitered square blankets? I guess they're called like, gosh, I don't remember what it's called. Scrappy blanket, but it's actually made with mitered squares. Well, I have a tutorial for that too. It's actually a series. It has several videos. So there's different parts to it, and there's a playlist for it in my playlists called the Mitered Square Blanket Tutorials. See, once you get the hang of it, guys, let me show you how you'll be just flying along like this as you're knitting. And you want to keep, you see how I keep pausing and kind of pulling it like this? Because they're going to get all bunched up on there, and you don't want that to happen. It'll be hard to hold. But you can just keep adjusting as you go. Left to right, wrap, pull through, hop off. Left to right, wrap, pull through, hop off. So yeah, I think what I'll do now, because this video is getting kind of long, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to cast off, because this is just a 1-row repeat. You will keep doing this until you get to the length that you want, and then you'll be casting off. And you can kind of see the texture coming now. You're gonna have garter ridges. You're gonna just keep going until you have it as long as you want. Let me go see if I can grab a finished scarf just to show you what it'll look like at this point. All right, I'm back. I've got a couple things I want to show you. So this is a scarf that I did. This is a thinner yarn, but this is the stitch that you're doing, the garter stitch. So once you learn, or once you get this to the length that you want, you're gonna have something that looks like this. That's your garter stitch. And then once you get to the length that you want, you're just gonna cast off, which is what I'm gonna show you how to do next. I've also, I made a bag. This is when I kind of first started knitting. And I think this was with the Woolies Thick and Quick that I made this bag. It's really floppy because it's so, like, such a soft yarn. But this is also the garter stitch. So this, yeah, look, I think that's the actual same yarn right there. You see it's the same color. But this is the stitch that your scarf is gonna be. If you just keep repeating the row that I just taught you how to do, just keep doing it. And this is what it's gonna look like. If I line this bag, it might be okay to use, but at this point, you see, it is very floppy. So I never even wove in my ends, because once I got it done, I thought, oh, it's too floppy. I didn't want to use it, but there might be a way to salvage it. So anyway, yeah, like I said, let me show you how to cast off now so that you can have your finished scarf once you get to the length like this that you want. So we just finished that last row, and say, pretend that you've done all this already and you're on your last row, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn, and it's gonna be facing just like you're getting ready to start another row, but this time we're gonna just cast off. All right, so to cast off, it's super easy, guys. All you gotta do is knit 2 stitches, just like we've been doing. So there's the first one. Here's your second one. And then this is where the magic happens. You're going to take your left needle and you're going to go into this stitch right here. You might pull it down a little bit to make it easier to get in there. And what you're going to do is you're going to leapfrog it over this one. We need to push them close to the tip of the needle, but we want to hang on to it, hang on to this one so it doesn't fall off. And pull it through like that and pop it off. Pop this one off. Now you've gone from 2 stitches to 1. Okay, I'm going to do that with you all the way across, guys, so bear with me. I got to get in a more comfortable position because I'm leaning over my tripod. I need to get a better setup because my back hurts when I'm leaning over like this. But anyway, so we're going to go in left to right, wrap around, pull through, slide it off, just a regular knit stitch. But then we're going to take this stitch, you can tug on it, and we're going to leapfrog it over this one, or you could say you're going to pull this one through. So you just pull it through like that. And you see, we're getting it off. Another knit stitch. Okay. Take this stitch here, make sure it doesn't slide off, hang on to it, pull it through. That might be an easier way to describe it. You're pulling it through instead of calling it leapfrog. I've learned both ways. I've had someone say knit the next stitch and then leapfrog this one over this one. But as I'm doing it, I'm thinking knit the next stitch and then grab this one and pull this one through. Let me know which description you guys think sounds better. Knit and leapfrog or knit and pull that one through. But look at that, guys, yay. Not that I'm gonna have any use for this little nub. I'll probably just unravel it and reuse it for something else. But I wanted to make sure that you guys were able to know all the basics, to be able to start from scratch and knit a scarf and finish it by watching this video. So I really do hope that this is helping someone out there. If you're new and have never knit before, let me know if this was understandable. If you guys were able to follow along, let me know what you thought about this tutorial. And like I said, I do have several other tutorials up on my channel right now, and I have more tutorials coming. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys want to learn how to knit, and feel free to leave those in the comments because I'm always looking for new things to teach. I never know exactly what people want to learn. I'm thinking about, I think I do have actually 2 tutorials on how to make different shaped shawls, a regular triangle shawl and an asymmetrical shawl. And then I've got the tutorials, that whole playlist up on how to do the mitered square blanket. But yeah, as I mentioned, someone wanted to learn the basics, so I thought I better get me another beginner-friendly video up so that you know, if you want to learn how to knit, you can also learn that here. So that said, guys, we're coming up to the last stitch, so I think I am going to go ahead and let you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Share it with your friends if they want to learn how to knit. And with that, let's leapfrog our last stitch over. And hang on, let me go grab my scissors and I will show you guys what I do to finish this off. I take that back, guys. I'm not gonna cut my yarn because I'm not gonna cut it, that's all. I'm just not, because I wanna still use this yarn like I told you. What I do though, guys, and trust me, just trust me on this, I just cut the yarn, you know, leave a little tail, cut your yarn right here. Before you do anything else, you've gotten to the end, right? You just cut your yarn right here, and then you're just gonna pull it through. You're just gonna pull on this and pull the end through, okay? And when you do that, you're gonna have your tail looking like this at the other end as well. And you'll just snug it up, and then you'll weave in your ends. But yeah, trust me, guys, trust me. I do this all the time to finish my knitting. Just cut it right there, and then you're gonna just like pretend this is the end, and then you're just gonna pull it through, and that end is gonna just pop out, and you're just gonna have a single strand like that, and you can pull on it and tighten it up, and then you're gonna weave it in, and your scarf will be done, guys. You can add fringe to the ends or whatever you want, or just leave it like this, plain. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to learn how to make fringe, because that could be another thing. We could actually add fringe to this scarf if you want to learn how to make fringe. Just let me know. And that said, I am going to frog this. Frogging is unraveling, so if you guys want to see how quickly we can undo what took us 30 minutes to do, 30 minutes to teach, I guess I could say. This is how fast you can undo it all. This is called frogging, and it is very satisfying. Ta-da! And boop, there goes our slip knot that we started out with. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all again in the next video. If you made it to the end, leave me a yarn ball emoji in the comments so that I know you actually watched to the end. And I'll see you guys again next time. Bye. Happy knitting.